Imagine, just for a second, the sheer, unimaginable global scale of MrBeast today. I mean, we're talking billions of views. He's built this massive organization of people, consumer products, and gigantic productions that honestly resembles a major television network, way more than a traditional internet channel. We see the giant arenas, the life-changing cash prizes, the massive global audience, but you have to wonder, how on earth did one person build all of this? Well, today on This Explainer, we're going to peel back the curtain. We're going to reverse engineer his success and decode the calculated architectural blueprint of Jimmy Donaldson's empire step by step. So let's dive right in. Here is our agenda for today. Number 1, cracking the YouTube code. 2, the art of escalation. 3, building a creator empire. 4, philanthropy at global scale. And finally, number 5, the price of perfection. Section 1, cracking the YouTube code. To really understand the empire, we have to start long before the money and the fame. We literally need to go back to a dark room, a super simple bedroom setup, and a kid sitting alone in front of an old computer. Because before MrBeast, there was just Jimmy, obsessively trying to figure out the psychology of the click. When he first started out, almost nobody watched. His audience was effectively zero. But instead of just throwing his hands up and quitting at 0 views, he treated it like a giant puzzle. Let's move to and see how this builds. He began obsessively studying analytics, right? Sketching out thumbnails, analyzing titles, just doing everything he could to understand audience behavior. Then he started testing everything. He went through this rapid series of experiments: gaming, commentary, basic challenges, testing ideas again and again. And this relentless testing led to a breakthrough that sounded, honestly, almost too simple to actually work. Think about it. Most people would have absolutely stopped when nobody watched their early attempts. The disappointment of getting almost no views is where the journey ends for like 99% of creators out there. But Jimmy? He kept going because he completely reframed his perspective. Failure literally became his data. Every failed experiment wasn't a defeat. It was vital information. He used every single one of those failures to slowly piece together what actually made people stay. 100,000. Yep, that is the ridiculous number that finally captured the internet's attention. Jimmy decided to sit in front of a camera and count, one by one, all the way to 100,000. I mean, it was exhausting. You can see the clock racing forward, but guess what? It worked. People actually started watching. This extreme, seemingly ridiculous challenge turned pure curiosity into views, and from that moment, his channel began to fundamentally change. Section 2, the art of escalation. That initial viral success, it was just the first spark. It proved a concept and kicked off a foundational pillar of his entire architecture, a relentless reinvestment strategy. Now, what's really interesting about this is how simple the core flywheel actually is. Step 1, create a ridiculous challenge that captures extreme curiosity. Step 2, earn the resulting ad revenue from those massive view counts. But step 3 is where the absolute magic happens. Instead of taking the profits and walking away, Jimmy invested 100% of that money right back into producing an even bigger video. So the money from one success flowed directly into the production of the next one. It spread like wildfire. And as he reinvested, he added a brand new ingredient to the mix: huge cash prizes. Just ask yourself, would you compete for this? The core hook became incredibly simple, but highly effective. How far would someone go for life-changing money? The stakes escalated incredibly fast. The prize pools grew from a few thousand to tens of thousands, and eventually to hundreds of thousands of dollars. And bigger prizes created bigger, way more dramatic stories, which in turn attracted even bigger audiences. Section 3, building a creator empire. As the audience grew from thousands to millions, his whole environment had to change. That simple bedroom setup from the early days, yeah, that wasn't going to cut it anymore. The reinvestment strategy meant that his sets, his prizes, and his challenges were growing exponentially. Suddenly, YouTube was no longer the entire pie. The brand crossed borders with translated global channels, reaching viewers far beyond the United States in a bunch of different languages. And he didn't stop at digital content either. He actually entered the physical consumer market. First came food, with MrBeast Burger. Then came chocolate, building out the Feastables brand. The creator had essentially transformed into a CEO, with entertainment and consumer products all existing under one massive global umbrella. And the sheer operational magnitude required to sustain this whole thing is staggering. Behind the videos, you have a massive global audience watching across multiple languages. There are giant production facilities, massive warehouses. We're talking about dozens of employees whose sole job is to plan these huge, elaborate shoots. It requires managing thousands of logistical details for every single massive video. This teenage creator has effectively built a colossal business organization from the ground up. Section 4. Philanthropy at global scale. But money and views weren't the whole story here. As his influence scaled to an unprecedented level, he started asking another really important question. How could this massive machine be used to give back? He began leveraging his enormous audience to execute real-world environmental and humanitarian change. First up, with Team Trees, he literally mobilized millions of people to plant massive landscapes. Then the focus shifted to the ocean with Team Seas, successfully removing tons of plastic from coastlines and waterways. And then with Clean Water, he expanded into humanitarian efforts, funding major projects to help developing communities access clean drinking water. He basically proved that digital entertainment could translate directly into massive real-world impact. Section 5. The price of perfection. But of course, success of this magnitude has a pretty terrifying price. As the channel went global, the sets turned into giant arenas, and the team grew into a full-blown corporation. The pressure fundamentally changed. Every single video became a monumental task. And this brilliantly illustrates the creator's reality, the stark contrast between input and output. We're talking months of meticulous planning, huge professional production crews, and literally millions of dollars spent. And the output? Just minutes of entertainment. An editor might sort through hundreds of video clips over several months, all to produce a single fleeting final product that millions of people will consume in less time than it takes to eat their lunch. The ratio of massive preparation to quick consumption is just staggering. Which leads to the ultimate moment of truth. After all those months of work, the giant sets, the millions of dollars spent, there is really only one question that matters when that upload screen finally appears. Will people click? Everything comes down to the thumbnail and the title, because if the viewers don't click and if they don't keep watching, the entire multi-million-dollar machine we've just been looking at stops moving entirely. It's wild to think about, but everything completely hinges on human curiosity. So the crucial point is this. The real secret behind the MrBeast phenomenon was never simply having a bunch of money. It was his absolute obsessive mastery of human attention. Attention is the true underlying currency of this global empire. From that young kid sitting in a dark room with a notebook trying to figure out the YouTube algorithm, to the CEO walking through a massive production facility today, he spent years learning the deep science of human behavior. He learned exactly what makes a person click a video, and far more importantly, what makes them stay engaged until the very end. From almost zero to a global empire, Jimmy Donaldson redefined how large internet entertainment could become. He started with one small idea in a simple bedroom and made the relentless decision to keep experimenting. Failure became his data, and every single success was never treated as a finish line. It was simply the funding, the raw material for the next impossibly big dream. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. We've just spent the last few minutes analyzing a man who built an entire global empire by mastering the art of capturing human attention. In our digital age, attention is arguably the most valuable resource on Earth. So as you go about your day today, look at the screen in front of you and ask yourself, how are you capturing or mindlessly giving away your own attention? Thanks for joining me on this deep dive, and keep asking the big questions.